ball.
Hello everyone and welcome again to Mad About Soccer here at Lockers Run Park in Boca Raton, Florida. We're set to watch South Florida Football Academy take on Orlando City South. Orlando City South, the second academy for Orlando, and this is going to be the first meeting of these two teams here in the 2022-2023 season. So referee is taking a look at the boys here to make sure they have all their equipment. Lineup is pretty much the same as last week. Looks like Nick going to be back in the starting lineup. Edon's still not back from his injury, so we're going to have a little bit of a change here as far as the defense goes. Weather is all right, not too much of an issue. There is somewhat of a breeze, and the heat index does not have it as being unbearable as it usually is here in South Florida. And the referees appear to be satisfied with checking everybody's uniform out. It's time to introduce our co-commentator today, Jeffrey Smythe. Jeffrey, how are you looking today?
Oh, well, thank you for that introduction. And I'm totally psyched about today's game against Orlando. The boys are ready, and Coach Craig has put together a dynamite lineup today for this game, as we have Aiden and Nick playing up front, along with Gavin, Julian, Mateo returning from injury, and Brian in the midfield. Brandon, Lano, Crosby, and Matthew making up the backfield in the back four, as well as Big Brandon in the goal. I'll tell you, you have to think twice when you're the opposing team trying to shoot on him, as he takes up most of the goal with his mere presence. It's going to be a cracker of a match today, and I hope we enjoy it.
Well, I think we will. Like you said, Mateo returning back from injury is definitely going to present a presence there in the midfield that they haven't had in the last couple of games. He brings size and he brings strength to the midfield and winning some of those balls that have been getting away from South Florida as of late. Aiden joining the top there with Nick, I think, is going to also provide a powerful striking presence, as Aiden has had a couple of goals in his starts as an MLS player, and I'm sure he's going to bring some of his exciting talent to this game today. Nick, returning as a starter, he subbed in the last game and did very well, and is going to be starting today, and I'm sure he's going to bring some fire as well, and hopefully score some goals here against this tough Orlando team. Well, that just about does it for the lineups. As Coach Greg goes over some more stuff with the boys, we'll take a moment to pause from our sponsors and hope you take a look at what the fine goods that they have, and we'll be right back.
Hello everyone, Jeffrey Smythe here, and I'm here to tell you about Tacky Apparel. Tacky Apparel, bringing you all the fine clothes and cleats for your soccer needs. Custom cleats as well. So be sure to stop in and take a look at Tacky Apparel when you have a moment. It's on Etsy.com, that's ETSY.com, and it's Tacky Apparel. TechY Apparel, and you won't regret it.
All right, we are back and just about to do the kickoff, waiting for the referee. South Florida's going to start with the ball, and let's see how well they get going here right at the beginning. Nick is going to kick it off, finds Mateo. Mateo back across to Matthew. Matthew under pressure, passes it back to Crosby. Crosby moving across the field, finds Brandon. And South Florida so far just exploring their backfield, looking for opportunities here. They're going to go back again. Crosby. Crosby's going to find Matthew. Matthew with limited space. He goes back to Lana. So far, so good. Definitely upping our passing percentages here in the opening minute. As Lano passes the ball up the middle, finds Nick. Nick to Brandon. Brian back to Nick. And Nick finding Matthew out on the side of space, takes a one-touch cross, and it ends up hitting Coach Aldo, who's spectating from the backfield. So Matthew probably could have taken a little bit more time with that pass, might have delivered a better cross. But it's just the first minute of the game, so we'll see how it goes from here. Brandon comes away with the ball there. He puts it back into play, back on the Orlando side. And Aiden getting interfered with on that ball. And throw in for Orlando. Orlando placing the ball deep. Can't find a purple shirt, just finds Lano. Lano passes off to Brandon. Brandon with a nice move to make an Orlando player dive. Gets the ball off to Mateo in the midfield. Mateo switching the side, finds Matthew. Matthew with a quick move to the inside. Tries to get it up to Nick. Nick couldn't get there. And Mateo now applying the pressure and forces the turnover.
Oh, just look at this silky smooth move by Brandon to avoid that tackle from Orlando. Oh, that was gorgeous.
That it was. Brandon known for having a few tricks up his sleeve out there on the left backside. As this ball's thrown in, Nick has a chance to run on it here. Can he get there before it runs out? He does. And crosses it in the middle, finds Aiden. Aiden takes a shot, and it is deflected away. Mateo able to get ahead on that, but it goes in the opposite direction. Orlando now with a chance to break. Crosby intervening. Matthew now picks up the ball. Passes it over to Mateo, and South Florida's going to reset. Brian looking for a pass, finds Julian. Julian over to Brandon. Brandon now with his head up. Got time and space. Now Orlando tries to pressure. He passes it back to Julian. Julian back to Crosby. And Crosby now looking for something. He passes over to Matthew. Matthew trying to take a touch up front, but just a little too much as the Orlando player came and take it away. Orlando resetting back to the goalie. Nick applying some pressure. Orlando looking for help. Orlando back to number 57. 57 back to the goalie. And Orlando trying to find their way out of their backfield. Pass up the middle. That could have been dangerous. And back out to their left side. Well, Orlando now running unabated here. No real pressure. Here comes Mateo. Matthew able to put his foot to it. And this ball is going to be out for a throw.
Well, this is what you get when Nick is playing in the game. He makes something out of nothing more times than you can shake a stick at. And he creates this cross here, and he puts it into Aiden, and Aiden just bad luck that one Orlando player is just lurking on the back post. That should have been 1-0 South Florida, but good defense by Orlando to keep it from the net.
Well, it certainly was as Orlando takes this throw. Ball's going to find the middle of the field. Nobody's going to the ball. Orlando player finds it, but it's quickly dealt with by Mateo. Still Orlando right now. Mateo again poking it away. Mateo trying to get in front of this play. Orlando unable to keep control of it, and it's going to be a throw for South Florida. Matthew on the throw. Opts to go back to Crosby. Orlando giving us all the space and time that we want as long as we keep it in the backfield, keeping a tight defense away from preventing us from advancing the ball. So haven't seen this very much. South Florida is usually under pressure from most teams as they believe in the high press, trying to cause mistakes in the backfield. As Nick pops this one over to Matthew. Matthew trying to control it, puts it into a space where Nick wasn't prepared to go, but Brian comes away with it. Brian back to Matthew. Matthew this time takes a touch on the ball, gets a good cross off. Gavin, and it's over the post. Wow, that was a great opportunity there. Unfortunately, just went over the post.
It certainly was. And this was a peach of a pass from Brian to find Matthew out on the right side. He gets a nice first touch on this to put it out in space, and then he puts a beauty of a cross out there. Gavin has to do better. He's coming in on that ball. He just has to keep it down. And I think that would have been a goal as well. Goalie had good positioning, but with the force and the speed in which the shot would have come, that probably would have been in the back of the net. Good job, South Florida, as they really have shown their attacking prowess here today.
Yes, they certainly are, as they've definitely generated some more opportunities than Orlando, as they haven't even gotten really close to the box, but have continuously tried to put pressure on the South Florida team. As Crosby crosses this ball over to Brandon. Brandon now on the ball. Lots of space. Orlando allowing South Florida to get deep in their own territory, as Aiden wins a throw here and takes it quickly, looking for Brian. Brian gets a foot to it. Now Aiden, now Orlando, and Orlando able to clear. Ball way back, but Lano is right about at the midfield line, and he passes this ball over to Crosby. Crosby, not liking what he sees in front of him, decides to switch the field. Goes back to Brandon. Again, you can see this ball bouncing quite considerably on this ground. It is mostly dirt. There's very little grass here. So this ball takes a good bounce every time it's kicked along the ground, because it's hitting holes and such and other things on the field. Crosby into Brian. Brian back to Lana. The kids on the team often refer to this as the surface of the moon at times, because as the season has gone on, the condition of the field has gotten much worse, as I'm sure it does at most teams' fields. Crosby passing this one up to Matthew. Matthew wasn't prepared for it and goes out for an Orlando throw. Orlando with the throw-in. And it's going to be a throw-in for South Florida. Matthew to Nick. Nick passes it down to Brian. Brian back to Crosby. Orlando now applying some pressure here in the backfield. Milano now with the ball, passing it over to Crosby. Crosby looking for Nick, can't find him. And Orlando now working the ball to the other side. Orlando taking their time in the backfield. And that ball straight to Lana. And we'll exchange it once again. Not too many runs from Orlando. Nothing really into a dangerous area. They seem to try to be passing it through the midfield and draw the foul here for the first foul of the game. So take a closer look. Yeah, it just looks like Mateo gets the back heel there of the Orlando player. Good call by the referee. And we'll have our first free kick of the game. Let's see what Orlando does with it. They're playing an awkward ball all the way to the left side. Kind of an odd decision to make on a free kick, wouldn't you say, Jeffrey?
Oh, that it is. I don't really understand. If you have players forward, on a free kick, you should always want to go forward. Not really sure what they were thinking there. They're very lucky that didn't turn into a total disaster. If the ball was taken away in the air, South Florida would have been back at their goal in no time.
Yeah, living dangerously a little bit there on the free kick as Brian gets squeezed and gives up the ball. Orlando now back in possession. Orlando again still trying to get that ball through the middle. Not finding much luck though. Now trying to work the outside. A little give and go. Still trying to find their way through. This is a deep run from Orlando. And they give up a throw. Brandon plays this ball long. Aiden trying to make something out of it. Leaves it for Brian. Brian plays it back up to Aiden. Aiden triple teamed on the sideline there. Oh! And referee says play on. And then stops play. So there was a clear foul there from Aiden as he gives a little push in the back. That's basically a frustration foul, wouldn't you say?
Oh, that it is. No striker likes to have the ball taken away from him, and he's going to fight to get it back. And every once in a while, they're going to give you a little push to let you know that they're there. But he's got to get his composure, because South Florida could really put this ball into a dangerous place if they just have the patience in that final third.
All right, Orlando on the throw here. And looks like there's going to be another foul. This one by Mateo. And again, he's a little late with his challenge here. Gets more of the foot than the ball. And we're going to have another free kick for Orlando. Let's see if they play to the other side this time. I don't think that they're going to... Well, they did. And this time it does get taken away by South Florida. Unfortunately, just not in a direction where they could have done anything with it. And Aiden is forced to kick it out in the touch for Orlando throw. Orlando playing the ball through the middle yet again. Mateo gets a foot to it. Nick trying to come over and take it. Can't get it. Matthew now defending. Defending well. And he gets a foot to it. Crosby clears it away. Mateo back to Matthew. Matthew trying to play the ball in, and we're going to have a handball call here. It'll be a free kick for South Florida. Yep, just gets a little piece of the elbow there. And going to be a free kick. Let's see what South Florida does with this one. Looks like Crosby's going to line up on it. He takes it quickly. Plays it back to Lano. Lano with time. Move this ball a little bit further up the midfield. Just about halfway through midfield. And he plays the ball. Oh, Aiden takes a stumble there in the dirt. That could have been a good ball there. I was surprised Orlando kind of let him just walk up the field with the ball and allow him to basically kick the ball 30 yards down the field. Orlando with just no real urgency to address the ball when South Florida has possession unless they get right near the front of their goal. As Mateo hits this ball away from Orlando and puts it in the path of Brandon. South Florida is going to retain possession again here. First touch of the day for Brandon, the goalkeeper, as he tried to get this pass back to Brandon. Eventually does. And Brandon plays it off for an Orlando player for another throw. Gavin throwing into Julian. And Gavin miscues there, and it's going to be an Orlando throw. Orlando somehow gets the ball in the box, but it results in a goal kick. Crosby now on the ball. Again, no pressure from Orlando. Julian to Crosby. Crosby now back on the ball. And Orlando just seems to be backing away as South Florida approaches them on the dribble. Never seen that before. Crosby with his head up. Looking down the field. Hits an Orlando player and wins a throw. Matthew into Nick. Trying to have that combination once again, but this time Orlando not having it. As they play this one back to the keeper under significant pressure from Nick. Able to get it off. Orlando playing the ball over. Gavin intercepts. Gavin, this ball ends up in the path of Nick, but he just couldn't get on it before an Orlando player cleared it with some ferocity there as it almost goes into the parking lot. Throwing from Gavin to Julian. Julian to Crosby. Crosby now on the ball. Oh, he finds Matthew. Oh, Matthew wasn't ready for it. I think he thought the Orlando player was going to intercept that one and actually went through his legs. And it would have continued into the path of Matthew. But he had stopped his run to try to go and defend. And the ball ended up going past him. Orlando now on the ball. Passing to the middle. Now passing over to South Florida's left side. Back into the middle. Now under pressure. Nick able to poke the ball free. He gets on it. Takes a shot. And the keeper's on top of it. Good effort there from Nick. Orlando keeper definitely met the task. And they put the ball down the field to Lano. Again, no players forward for Orlando as when they kick long, as they have most of their players back in possession. Matthew came down with that ball. Nick, again, pressuring the goalie. Goalie passes it way out, and it's going to be a throw for South Florida.
Let's take another look here at this performance by Nick, pressuring the ball. He's been doing it all game, and he finally able to pick the pocket at number 43, and he takes a nice run at goal. He places the ball, trying to look for that left corner, and the goalie's playing significantly off his line, so he's able to come out and cut down that angle. But eventually, they're going to get this ball in the goal.
Well, I have to agree with you because all of this game up till this point has been all South Florida. All the offense, all of the shots, and everything moving forward has all been South Florida. Orlando just seems to be content with kicking this ball long and just not even trying to put it in danger areas, just trying to move the ball through the middle of the field, and they don't have enough players committed forward to have any type of effect. So that just right there, another example where they passed the ball up, but there was only one Orlando player where he's not going to beat 4 South Florida defenders, as Lano deals with this one. All right, Gavin's on the throw. Throws it back to Brandon. Brandon playing a long ball across. I think he was looking for Matthew or Mateo. Not really sure there, because it didn't reach either. And now Gavin having to come back to help out on that ball. Orlando finally operating in the final area here, but Gavin able to parry that ball away for an Orlando throw. And another goal kick. Brandon kicking it short. Crosby playing it long up the field, looking for Matthew or Nick. Finds Nick. Nick back to Brian. Brian playing the ball up the field, but only finds an Orlando player. And they head it through. Brian gets on it again. Brian this time to JC, who's checked into the game. JC trying to play it back, but only find an Orlando foot. And now Orlando have some trouble as they're trying to get out of their own half. Mateo coming over and fighting for the ball. No foul called. And a handball against Orlando. It's just a small handball. Taking a look at that. No foul called there. And there's the ball bouncing up and hitting the hand of the Orlando player. All right, Lano kicking the ball long down the field. Nick gets a shoulder to it.
Oh.
Stumbles. Brian takes a shot, and it's in the goal. 1-0 South Florida.
Beautiful.
Unbelievable. What a shot from Brian. Hitting that bottom left corner of the net.
Great shot.
Puts it in for a 1-0 score. South Florida leading against Orlando.
You can see Nicky tries to bring it down with his chest, and the Orlando defense tries to parry it away, but it's a straight shot to the left corner by Brian. What a beautiful shot. Unbelievable. Here we go. South Florida leading 1-0 here in Boca Raton, Florida. And it was bound to happen because Orlando has not been pressuring the ball and has not been moving this ball ahead in the field. We'll see how they react going forward. But beautiful goal from Brian.
Yes, it was. I mean, that was a total reactionary shot, and it went right into the goal for a diving effort by the goalie from Orlando, but just couldn't get there in time. As we see Orlando getting into the box here. Oh, dangerous ball into the middle, cleared out by Brandon. Orlando's showing some signs of life here now that they're down a goal, as Matthew takes this throw in quickly to Nick. And it's out for another throw. Matthew now trying to get it to Nick again. Wins another throw. There's a long throw in. Who finds JC. JC passing the ball back to Julian. Julian looking for Gavin. Gavin popping the ball into the middle of the box. JC now trying to bring it down. Trying to corral it. Lots of bodies around the ball. It's finally kicked free. Brandon's there. He looks across the field. He finds Matthew. Matthew having a hard time controlling the ball. And eventually loses it to Orlando. But South Florida quick to get it back again. Crosby duking it out in the middle. Gets it off. Finds Brian. Brian plays another ball into the space. Matthew trying to get there. And it's cleared away by the Orlando player. Matthew looking for the throw. Finds Nick. Nick putting the ball into the box. Nobody's there to get on the other end of it. But again, South Florida threatening the goal. Orlando playing from the back. Losing it. JC now. He's going to take a shot. And he puts it over the bar. That was a decent effort. Saw that the goal was open and took his chances.
Aye, that he did. And it wasn't a bad shot. Just had to get it a little bit lower, but I could understand what he was looking for. He was looking for that back right corner, top corner of the goal, because the goalie was playing close to his forward goal post. And he would have just popped it over his head. It would have been a beautiful goal. Hats off to the lad because he's thinking ahead of the game. and we'll see where this goes.
Well, again, Orlando trying to get into the area here. So now they're pressuring the ball. Brandon kicks it long. Mora, who's checked into the game, he's trying to come away with it and does. Mora playing into the space. Plays it up to JC. JC, again, looking over, finds Matthew. Matthew with time and space. He puts the ball into the area for Nick. Nick now at the corner. Getting into the box. Cuts inside. He's got time. Chips it over. And headed away by Orlando. Nobody was on the back post. Mora takes a snapshot, but it goes well wide.
I really think Nick was trying to do what JC did a minute ago and trying to put it into that back left side of the goal. He just didn't have the right angle because there was nobody there to head it in. And you'd think somebody would want to get on the other end of that, wouldn't you?
Yeah, that you would. I mean, that would have been a beautiful headed in goal if somebody was there to take advantage of that ball. As Orlando makes some changes here, we're just waiting for the players to get in position. Orlando trying to play it out of the back. And here we go. South Florida still applying the pressure high up the field. That wall gets away from them, though, as Orlando is charging down the field now. Brandon's going to be able to handle it, though. Oh, he passes it off to Lano. Lano kind of loses control. Now there's some players in the box. This is trouble. Player goes down in the box, and we have a penalty. Referee is calling a penalty here. We got to take another look.
Well, I think we do. Because I didn't see any contact here to create the player to go down. And we'll take another look. As you can see here, he just falls to the ground. I don't see any contact from Lano. I see a smaller player versus a bigger player, but that's all I really see out here. And we'll go a little bit closer. And, yeah, I mean, I see Lano's hand maybe on the back of the Orlando player, but there's no push. As you can clearly see his hand coming away. He's actually trying to avoid contact when the boy falls in front of him. I think this is a bad call by the referee, and it's going to give them a penalty that I don't think they deserve.
Well, I would like to remind our viewers that unlike real MLS games, the MLS Next does not have the ability of VAR. So, whether right or wrong, the play has been called on the field, and the referee is always right. As Orlando approaches this ball, taking an awkward approach of walking up, and he puts it in the back left corner. So, 1-1, Orlando scores on a penalty. Questionable penalty, but penalty nonetheless. As we take another look here, like I said, an awkward approach to the ball is walking up to it casually, avoiding eye contact with the goalie, and then just buries it into that left corner of the goal. Brandon really didn't have much of a chance there. The advantage is always to the kicker, as they know where they're going to go before the goalie does. So 1-1 here in Loggers Run Park. South Florida scoring. Took less than a couple of minutes for Orlando to score again. Could call it luck. You could call it the benefit of the referee. But regardless of what it is, it took skill to put the ball in the back of the net. And now it's 1-1. So let's see how South Florida answers as Orlando looks reinvigorated here with a number of players going forward now. I don't think I've seen this many purple shirts on the South Florida side of the field since this game began. And it looks like they're going to opt to press here and try to take this momentum shift and put another one in the back of the net as this ball was called out of bounds. Kawa throws it in. Who's checked in for Matthew. Mora now trying to fight off two defenders and being fairly successful here as he controls the ball but ultimately gives it away. Orlando now pressing the ball. Gavin able to come away with it. He's getting pulled and finally gets the call from the referee. So it took a little while to get there, but we eventually got there. You can see his arm is clearly being held in what some circles would call an arm bar and was prevented from moving forward. Lano stands over the free kick. And he opts to send the ball long. JC trying to get ahead to it, can't do it. And Orlando win possession of the ball in the middle of the field. Julian now trying to win it back. Brian gets taken down the middle of the field. No foul call. Orlando trying to move the ball within the dirt. And they put this into the box, but Brandon able to control very easily. Well, you can tell that the field has seen better days as the players run through. You see a trail of dust leave their feet, and that's basically the sand remnants of what's left of this field. As Nick fights to get this ball, he gets a foot to it. JC just outmatched there as far as height-wise to try to win that header, and the referee calls for a foul.
Well, the referee has blown his whistle, but again, I don't know what he is that he's calling. I see two players fighting for the ball, but I don't really see anything that's prohibiting either one from winning it. So, another goal for Orlando goes their way, and we'll see what it takes them.
Well, Orlando looking dangerous here as they run through the middle of the field. A number of South Florida defenders back, but still they get into the box and deliver a cross. Brandon deals with it by sending it out of play, and an Orlando throw. Well, the Orlando defense is definitely tall. Their offense is a little undersized, to say the least. I'm not sure if this is a mix of 2010 and 2009 players, but you can definitely see that there's a little bit of an advantage here as far as South Florida goes in the height range. You would think that they would play a little bit more to their advantage, but we'll see how the rest of this game goes as the tide has shifted a little bit here with Orlando now appearing to be more on the front foot as they maybe make a mistake here. More trying to get his head on the ball, can't do it. Pokes it away. Orlando still in control, crossing it to the other side. Kawa now coming up. He gets it off to Nick. Nick back to Kawa. Kawa in control, trying to create some space here. Trips on the ball, but loses it to Orlando. Orlando playing the ball forward. Crosby there to intercept. Mora and Crosby interconnecting. And Orlando come away with it, looking for the long ball. They've got players back there, but Lano's going to get to it first as he looks to play this one back to Brandon, and does. Brandon under some pressure, kicks the ball long, up the middle of the field. Purple jersey's going to get to it, and they maintain possession. Orlando moving the ball around now. Under some pressure, but still maintaining possession. And it looks like this one's going to go Orlando's way, although Coach Greg is letting his protest be known. It still goes the way of Orlando. South Florida now trying to win the ball back. JC shielding the ball well, gets it off to Brian. Brian trying to get it to Nick, can't do it. And Orlando win back possession. Orlando putting the ball in the areas where they just can't seem to go, and put that ball into the box on a nice cross. Brandon out to collect. And let's see if South Florida opts to slow things down. Nick in possession of the ball, gets it out to Kawa. Kawa now putting the ball, trying to put the ball in the space, but it is deflected out. And we have a little discussion here by the referees. Not sure what is happening here. Well, we're about 30 minutes into this half, and they're being told to step off. One of the line judges came over to the main referee and said for them to step off. I think they were calling a halftime. Both coaches for the MLS teams are come out there to commiserate with them, and obviously I think they've got it wrong because now they're back on the field. So a little bit of a miscommunication, and referees not realizing this is an older age group and they play a little bit longer. Orlando now trying to get this ball out of their area, and foul called in favor of Orlando.
Well, these poor referees can't seem to get out of their own way today. First ending the half early, and now with this call. Mora's arms are clearly close to his chest when that ball is played. I don't know how he's supposed to prevent that from happening, but they call the handball anyway. And now they're back on the front foot, and another foul called. Let's see what this one is for. Yeah, Mora does catch his foot. That one's going to be a good call. But I'll tell you, they're having a hard day today, these referees, in making some questionable calls.
Well, this ball goes down, and the Orlando player gets between Crosby and Lano. Another shot. Crosby sacrificing his body to get in front of that shot. Takes a deflection. Orlando maintains possession, though. Aiden now getting into the mix. I'm sorry, that might be Emerson now. He tries to cross it in the middle of the field. Kawa gets there. Ball headed by the Orlando player. He's under pressure by Mora. And plays it back to be safe. South Florida a little out of sorts here. Made some changes. It's definitely got some energy on the field, but they don't seem to be as coordinated as they once were. As Kawa passes this ball into Nick. Nick trying to play the ball over the head of the defender, but just finds another defender. And this one out for a South Florida throw. Ball in towards Brian. Brian plays it up to Tiago as checked in. Orlando in possession in the middle of the field. Brandon comes in, breaks it up. Brandon to Tiago. Tiago up to JC. JC with a nice little flick over to Nick. And is going to be called offsides. So good passing, good ball movement. Definitely we're creative here, but you can clearly see that Nick is offsides in that possession. And it's a shame because that probably would have been 2-1 South Florida as Orlando takes this kick short. Play it up the field. Crosby there, poke it away. Gets it to JC. JC making some moves. Trying to find a player to pass to. Ends up going back to Crosby. Crosby back to Lano. Lano over to Brandon. Brandon with some time. Plays it up to, I believe that's going to be, it's Emerson. Emerson plays the ball down the line. Looking for JC. Oh, good defensive effort by the Orlando player. Prevent that ball from going forward as JC will now have a throw in. No, referee is calling it for Orlando. Not really sure how he called that one.
Well, I'm telling you, he must have his binocular glasses on, because I'm standing here, and I can tell you that I couldn't make that call, and just from the direction of the ball, I would have said that was a South Florida throw. But I still don't see where JC saw it on the slow motion replay. So, I hate to do this, but I have to say that's going to go down in my book as another bad call from the referee.
Well, we don't want people to get the impression that we're against referees. We love the fact that referees are on the field and looking after these young men as they pursue their dream of soccer. We just hope that their good calls outweigh their bad calls, in a sense. As Crosby launches this one into the center. Oh, another shot from Brian. This one almost got away from the keeper, but he was able to pick it up on the back end before it rolled into the net. And he sends this one long. Again, Orlando now starting to come a little bit more with the pressure. Lano hitting this ball down, but can't find a yellow shirt. Eventually does. And Kawa and Mora are going to overlap the same ball. Mora finally comes out with it, tries to split the defenders. Still maintains possession, but then gives it away. Orlando now in possession in South Florida's half. Shot right at Brandon. Real easy capture there for the keeper. And I think that is the first shot on goal from Orlando in the first half. As Brandon punts this ball long, it is headed backwards by Orlando. That may have been a miscue, may not have been. And the keeper picks it up at the top of his box. Keeper looking to throw. He rolls it out to number 12 in the front. He's under pressure from Tiago. Tiago able to win that ball. Gets it off to JC. JC trying to play it across the Nick, but can't find him. And Orlando able to clear their line. Orlando looking for that pass. Crosby reads it well. Pokes up in the air. Kawa trying to get there, but can't do it, and it's going to be out for a throw. Nick trying to pling that ball into an area where he can make something happen. Can't get it. Orlando still maintaining possession. Orlando with a lot of balls going across the field. That could be dangerous later on as Emerson breaks up that play. They get the ball off to Nick. It's a pass back to the goalie. That's going to be a foul. And it is blown for one. Cannot pass back to the goalie. And the referee is going to really try to put this ball down quickly and address this issue.
Well, I know what you people at home are saying. Are saying, Jeffrey, why did the referee blow his whistle? Well, it's right here. The number 58 from Orlando, he passes the ball back to the goalie. And as a reflex, because Nicky is applying the pressure, he goes to pick up the ball. And he can't do that when the ball is passed back to you. but it doesn't result in a penalty. It results in this, a free kick within the box. Look at all the Orlando players there. This is beautiful.
Yes, those familiar with futsal, is basically what we call an indirect. So Moore will have to touch it, and then Nick will have to shoot. And there's the touch. Shot into the wall. Cowan's going to get there. He's going to try to play back and can't do it. Deflects off of an Orlando player. South Florida's got to get back now. This could be dangerous. Ball through. Crosby there again. Tiago now passing it over to Mora. Mora using his feet. He finds Lano. Lano playing the ball back over to Brandon. Brandon up the field. And Orlando parries it back. Into space. Ball's pinging around. It's like a ping pong. And it's out for a throw. The referee blows for the halftime. Well, some drama there in the first half there, Jeffrey. What did you think about how South Florida and this Orlando team played?
Well, I think that South Florida came out very strong. They had some good movement of the ball. They were playing crosses into the box, and they were looking for opportunities, which they had many. What happened is when they scored that first goal, Orlando came out like a team possessed. They started to play further up the pitch and started pressuring South Florida players more, where that changed the game. Because then they got the penalty, and then there was a momentum shift to where Orlando came out and being more aggressive than what they were even before. So now it's really limited the options for South Florida to create opportunities in the Orlando end. Well, but the most recent one in front of the goal, oh, that's one I wish they would have gotten back. Let's see what Coach Greg does in the second half.
Well, I'm sure he's got some surprises, but in the meantime, let's take a look at another one of our sponsors, and that's Sideline_Shutterbug. Sideline_Shutterbug on Instagram.com. Bringing you all the photos of the match, bringing you some amazing quality images of players from both sides for your enjoyment. And if you guys have the time and you want to take a look, it's Sideline_Shutterbug on Instagram, and you'll have those photos available to you probably after a couple of weeks of watching this match. They'll be up there and running. So we hope that you click, like, and subscribe to Sideline_Shutterbug for all of your images of the MLS Next games involving South Florida. As the second half starts, Orlando looking to go long, but Brandon being there. Emerson trying to come back and break it up. Orlando maintains possession. Now at the top of the box, Crosby coming in, poking it free. Now Mora, but Orlando getting it right back again. Orlando player down in the box, and there's going to be another foul call.
Well, I don't see how this affected the play. It looked like he made the pass, as you see it right here, and then he fell down. Where did Mateo make the contact? I don't see it. I don't see it. And I really do. I have all the respect in the world for the referees, but I really hope he takes a look at this game and sees where he went wrong on some of these calls.
Well, I don't think we'll be lucky enough to have the referees watching the game, Jeffrey. As Valentino, who's coming to the game, makes a good catch there in the middle of the field, throws it out quickly to Matthew. Matthew pops the ball up to Nick. Nick able to control it, brings it down, passes it off to Gavin. Slide tackle from Orlando, breaks it up. But there's Matthew. Matthew's still on the ball, crosses. Gavin hits it. Oh, and it looks like it's going to be a handball on Gavin. Just couldn't get his arm out of the way of his shot there. The ball a little bit behind him. But still a nicely delivered cross by Matthew. Gavin trying to put that ball into play, just couldn't do it, got his arm in the way. And it's going to be a free kick for Orlando out of their own box. Orlando, it looks like Nick's going to get a yellow card there. Must have been talking back to the players or the referee, one or the other. So first yellow card shown of the game, awarded to Nick. I have to say it's for dissent, because I didn't see him involved in the play at all. And Orlando waiting to take their free kick. And we have a player down. That is going to be Brandon. And he seems to be having an issue somewhere, maybe his nose. But Coach Greg attending to him there on the sideline. So it's going to have a momentary stop and play as the player gets treated. MLS has rules that no player that is bleeding should be on the field for concerns of that, blood being splattered on other players or, basically getting on other people's clothes or uniforms. So as soon as that one's addressed, I'm sure Brandon will be back on the field. Looks like his uniform's getting switched out. So we'll see what happens here. Orlando throw in. dealt with by Crosby. Flying header from the Orlando player, another Orlando player down on the ground. This ball being moved down the sideline. Crosby's going to run. He can't get there. Cross by Orlando, and they're going to win a corner. First corner of the day for Orlando. And here comes the cross into the box. Dealt with by Valentino, who punches it free. Mora there to help it along a little bit further. JC trying to get on the other end of it, but can't find it. Mora now on the ball. Mora trying to find somebody with that left foot. Puts it up the middle of the field. He's got a sprinter. And it looks like Emerson trying to get on the other end of this. Can't do it. Sneaks around his defender. Hits the ground. No foul called. Mateo heading the ball back into the danger area. And Orlando clearing it long to Matthew. Matthew's checked in at left back while Brandon gets treatment. Emerson playing this ball back to Mateo. Mateo can't hold on to it. And Orlando now on the attack, putting the ball into the lane. And Crosby clearing it. But it looks like it's going to be an offside call on Orlando.
Well, I'll be curious to look at this one. As I see the Orlando player taking the touch. It goes to kick it there. I don't know which player is offsides, as he appears to be on the one side of Crosby. But I'll take it where I can get it. Anything is good as long as it's for us. Good job, referee, on that call.
Well, I have to say, Orlando might be a little upset with that one, as I honestly couldn't see that they were offside. But, hey, as Jeffrey said, we'll take it as we can get it. And Lando sends this ball long down the right side of the field. Orlando now back in the attack. Crosby one-on-one with the ball. JC there to help. Orlando maintains. Brian trying to get it. Now Crosby pokes it free. Orlando now possession of the ball. Oh, we almost got away with one there, but this ball played long and another offside call for South Florida. Not going to be able to tell if this one's going to be the right call or not, as this was played way before our video camera could even pan into view of the number 20. But we're going to go with the referee's take on it and say he was offsides. So South Florida ball. As the referee again comes over to address the line judge. Not really sure what this conversation's about. Looks like he's indicating another player was potentially offside, but okay. So we're not going to have a free kick. We're going to have a drop ball to the goalie. I guess they're willing to acknowledge that that was a bad call, Jeffrey?
Yeah, I have to agree. I think that it was a bad call. I've never really seen a referee and a line judge get together like that in the MLS Next. But hats off to them. They recognized that it was a bad call, and I think it was also a good call to do a drop to the goalie, because Matthew appeared that he was going to win that if the play continued. Oh, nice save by Valentino, by the way, as the play continues. But it doesn't inspire a lot of confidence in their decision-making by making these calls. I got to tell you that some of them are very questionable, but at least they're willing to make amends when they can.
Well, I don't know how happy the coaches are going to be if they continue to make calls on the field and then change them. I can probably tell you it ain't going to make Coach Greg too happy if this continues. As South Florida desperately trying to clear their line. Can't do it. Orlando player. Oh, nice little tackle there. Ball still alive. Valentina's going to go and pick it up now. Oh, we had a flurry of activity there. Might have to take another look.
Oh, a flurry is right. As you can see, there's a number of bodies in front of the goal. Brian comes away with a spot-on slide tackle to break up that shot before it could threaten Valentino's goal. And he does a dynamite job, Valentino, of collecting that ball before it got him into more trouble. And as he clears the ball, we'll see what South Florida can do. And lo and behold, another foul. So let's take another look at this one. I just don't see where Mateo's doing anything wrong, and the lad looks frustrated as I am. The player just keeps on hitting the ground, and he's getting the blame for it.
Well, Orlando takes that free kick to a wide open player on the right side. And they're going to do it again as Emerson's trying to chase him between the two of them. Cross. Shot deflected, or Lano heads it. It's still alive. Emerson now poking it forward. Can South Florida make a run on it? Oh, Gavin takes a hard hit in the middle of the field. Referee blows the whistle. That probably should have played on. Nicky was in on goal all by himself.
100%. Poor Gavin. He takes the hit for his team. And he did it to create this opportunity for Nicky. And the referee blows the whistle. It was a clear advantage for South Florida if this play continued. Oh, I can't believe what I just saw. Coach Craig has to be out of his mind out there on the sideline. I can't believe it.
Well, Coach Craig certainly expressing his displeasure with the referee's decision to stop play there, as Nicky would have been one-on-one with the goalie if play had continued. Maybe he was stopping the play in order to check on the player, because Gavin did take quite a hit there, although he popped right back up again. That's a tough decision for the referee. As play continues here, Orlando on the throw. Brian chipping the ball over the top, headed on by Gavin. Nicky trying to get a foot to it, can't do it. And the Orlando center back is on the run, and he takes a little pull and falls to the ground. Again, Mateo, the culprit, and he's going to get a talking to by the referee. I think that's foul number 3, and he's going in the book. Second South Florida player to be carded today. And we take another look. Really not much there.
Well, I have to disagree with you on this one, and I'd hate to do that. But Mateo does a smart thing there. He does commit the foul. He can see the player is advancing. He goes in. I don't think it was a hard tackle. It was a cumulative yellow card because he's been called for so many fouls in this game. But I think it was a smart foul by Mateo to stop that run from the Orlando player as he got deeper into the South Florida territory. And it ultimately was the right decision because Valentino saved his free kick, no problem, and South Florida trying to get down the field once again.
Well, South Florida got a little bit further than what they have been lately, as they have yet to enter into the final third of the field since switching to this half. Matthew with the throw finds Mora. Mora now making his way through. Gets the ball off into space, but only an Orlando player there. Crosby now on the ball. He's trying to create some space between him and his defender. Not enough of on the pass. Oh, there's some mixed communication there. And this ball is going to be into a danger zone, but Valentina's going to be able to scoop it up and relatively quickly. Ooh, some nervy defending there, as Crosby didn't put enough mustard on that pass to get it back to Lano, and then Lano overran the ball, which created an opportunity for Orlando, which they thankfully did not capitalize on. As Matthew is now applying the pressure and gets the goalie to give a bad pass and a throw to South Florida. Matthew throwing the ball into Brian. Brian trying to make something happen and hold off his defender. He kicks it into the box. Loose ball. Nick can't get there. Put back in by Mora. Headed away by Orlando. Got down by Julian. Emerson trying to put it back in. Can't do it. Brandon now. He's trying some footwork. Mora puts it into space. Emerson's now on the ball. He's got time. He tries to play it in the box. Deflected by Orlando. Brandon back on it. Plays it over to Emerson. But ultimately dealt with by Orlando. And another throw for South Florida. Poke through. Gavin now on the ball. Puts it into the box. Somebody's got to get on the other end of this. Orlando slide tackle and kick the ball away. Crosby coming in. Gets the ball to Nick. Nick at the top of the box. Shoots. Deflected off the back of the Orlando defender. And Brian called for a foul.
Well, this is a frustration foul. They had so many opportunities here. Tried to get the shot on goal. They couldn't do it. Brian trying a swim move, which is most commonly found in your linebackers here in the States. And he comes away with the foul. Enough said.
Well, Crosby heading this ball back in. Matthew trying to get on the other end of it. Can't do it, but wins the throw. Throw taken quickly off to Gavin. Gavin trying to put it into the area. Can't do it. Crosby having to chase this ball down. Can't get there, but is able to play it off the Orlando defender. Just puts in a good spot for them. Whoo! Luckily, that ball goes well wide of the goal, as Orlando found themselves right there, point blank, and missed. So South Florida living dangerously, having difficulties finding players, and wow, that is a clear push in the back. Brian up quickly from that foul, saw Nicky on the run, but couldn't get it to him. But South Florida is going to win a throw deep in Orlando territory.
Well, this is quickly becoming a grudge match between these two teams, as these fouls are starting to come a little bit more fast and furious from both sides. Brian does a smart thing here, gets up, sees his runner, and tries to hit Nicky on the trot, but the Orlando defender was there to deal with it very nicely. But we're in a good spot in Orlando territory.
Well, Nicky tries to get on the hole of that one, gets off to Julian. Julian back to Brandon. Brandon sees Moore in the middle. Moore with a nice one-touch pass to Nick. Nick playing it up. Nobody is there, and the Orlando keeper comes out quickly to deal with it. Well, South Florida doesn't appear to have the answer just yet for this reinvigorated Orlando defense, as they've had few opportunities in this second half compared to the first, as Lano puts this ball out in the touch. And there's been a little bit of frustration on the part of the South Florida players, I think largely due to a number of calls made by the referees, as well as some missed opportunities that they've had on their own side, as Mora is called for the foul, which I believe was a handball, and then out of frustration flagged his arms, and the referee said, nope, you're going in the book as the third South Florida player to be yellow carded today.
Well, that's the thing. What they're looking for on the field is who has that passion, who has that desire to win. And he knows he made a mistake, and he just voiced it a little too loud, apparently within earshot of the referee, and he goes in the book. As Lano heads that ball away, and South Florida clears their lines.
Emerson now on the run. He's got space to move. Oh, quickly cut down. Matthew tries to get a ball off, can't do it. And he's going to have to play this one back to Crosby. Crosby puts the ball back up. Can only find an Orlando player. As Lano goes in there head first and finds Mora. Mora now plays the ball over into the path of Gavin, who switched to the left side. Gavin, unable to get back on that ball as it goes out into touch for an Orlando throw. Orlando throwing the ball in. Ball bouncing around. Can't find feet. As this one bounces over the Orlando player, Lano heads it back up in between Julian and another Orlando player. And Crosby's going to be able to take that ball away. Actually, he doesn't. Matthew ends up getting it. Pass it back to Crosby. Crosby tries to play it up, and it goes out of bounds on Orlando. Crosby with the throw. Mora putting the ball way up in the air. Headed back forward by Orlando. Again headed forward by Orlando. Orlando's got some numbers here, but not enough to outnumber South Florida. But whoa, put the ball into the space, and we got a flag up for offsides.
Well, this was very dangerous. As you could see, all of the South Florida players sucked into the ball. Nobody was worrying about 20 and 15 out there to the right. And by God's good graces, they are offsides. But that could have been the end game there, Sonny. You have to watch where your players are. You can't all just go to the ball. You got to be thinking out there.
Well, Lano plays this one deep right to the foot of Nick. Nick able to control it, but then plays it into the Orlando player. He keeps going. There's no call on the play. He's in the box now, trying to cut it back in. Loses the handle. Still up. Trying to make something happen. And wins a corner. So Nick went from nothing to something as the ball's played in the box. Header by Martin right onto the goalie. And man, what a save that was. Whew. Martin, who just checked in, puts the ball on the goalie from a corner. But unfortunately, it just doesn't go in. But South Florida maintaining possession here, playing the ball out to the right. Matthew in control. Matthew looking for the give and go. Eventually gets it. He's getting down there. Looking for the cross. Plays for the cross. Deflection. And it's going to be another corner for South Florida.
Well, let's take a look at the last corner here. As this ball comes in, nobody's marking Martin. And he has a clear header on goal. And if it was just an inch to the left, that would have been a lead goal 2-1. But good header by Martin. Fortunately, right at the goalie.
Mora to deliver this free kick. It's low. It's still in there. Orlando deals with it. Right back to Mora. Mora now taking another, looks like a shot this time. He did have players on the back corner. I'm sorry, the back post. But that looked more like a shot than it was a cross. And now Brian now on the ball at the top of the box. He gets it off to Nicky. Nicky with some space here. Takes a shot. Another deflection. We're going to have another corner. Well, South Florida definitely looking a lot better. Here comes the cross. That one was dealt with. It was again low. And going to be a South Florida throw. South Florida looking like they're going to get on the ball here. Oh, push from Nick. And that's going to be another foul on South Florida. Nothing really to debate here. As Nick tries to get to the ball, he pushes the Orlando center back to the ground. And I don't mean to giggle. It's just something that was clearly a foul in the midst of all these other ones where we've been trying to determine whether or not they are a foul. As Brandon heads this one away. Martine and Brandon trying to win the ball back for South Florida. Orlando now bringing a few more players forward.
Oh, that's a
providing
good
a little
ball.
bit more options.
Look at
This
that.
ball's played up by Julian, and it's a beautiful ball as Nick
Oh.
gets on the other end of it. Nicky
There
is
you
beating
go.
his player.
Shoot.
Takes the shot. Oh,
Yes!
good and it's in the goal.
Oh,
2-1.
beautiful.
South Florida leads on a nice run by Nick and a even nicer shot
That's
into
how
the
you
back
do
left
it.
corner.
That's just a great run from Nick, and even a better shot from him. The goalie gets a little piece of it here, but not enough to deflect it. And you got to give your hats off to Julian. He picks his head up. He sees the runners. Gavin may have helped that along. But then it's all Nicky. Outrunning the number 12. He's with him, pace to pace. And I don't know how he does it, but he manages to get the shot off right as he's in the box. And the goalie gets a little slow to get down to the ground to try to save this one. And it's in the back of the net. 2-1, South Florida, here late in the game. They only have so much time, Orlando. Let's see what happens here.
All right, well, Crosby heading that ball forward after the kickoff. Julian trying to get a piece of it, ends up losing it. Orlando now attacking. Lano able to prevent that pass from getting through. Mora now heading the ball forward. Gavin. Oh, man, this is a free-for-all. Nobody can really maintain possession here as everybody is fighting for the ball. Martine flying in for that challenge. This is no holds barred. Oh, as another foul called on Nick. Looks like the same center back. He just goes flying. I don't really know how much of a contact Nick made with him as he seemed to be going down to the ground way before Nick even made contact with him. But foul called nonetheless. Nick avoids the second yellow of the game. And he's got to be thanking his lucky stars for that because I don't know if he realized he was already on one. And he's lucky he didn't get called right there. As Mora pokes this one free, but right to the foot of an Orlando player. Takes a shot. And it's a bouncer to Valentino who deals with it nicely.
Well, I have to agree with you. That foul looked a lot worse than what it was, but Nicky is very lucky he didn't go into the book for the second time tonight on that red card because that was dangerous. And you don't want to be giving Orlando an opportunity here to get back in the game. And a red card to a player will definitely boost the momentum for the other team. And that's what you don't want to do.
Well, Martine on the throw in here. Looks for Gavin. Gavin tries to flick it into the space for Nick to run on. Mora now on the ball. He plays it over to Brandon, who's out on the left side. Brandon playing the ball into the box. Only person there was Nick. Brian tries the volley. Doesn't get it in the right spot and ends up going out for a goal kick. Goalie playing it short. And then they kick it up the field. Brandon tries to come away with it but can't. Ball played into space. Crosby's there, who's now switched to a center back role on the other side. Brandon trying to win the ball again. Can't do it. And now Orlando's on the front foot. Matthew coming back. Ooh. And there's going to be an offsides call. Wow. Saved again.
Well, you're not kidding. Yet again, I thought we were going to be in trouble there because it looked like Matthew may have caused a penalty. I wasn't quite sure yet. But the ref blew the whistle. And I don't really see where the offsides is yet again. But Matthew looks like he gets all ball there. As you can see, the ball is perfectly placed from where he touched it. So that wouldn't have really gone either way. But they stop it for offsides. I can't believe it.
Matthew again in possession of the ball on the right side. He plays it up. Couldn't find the player he's looking for. Lano now defending, gets ahead to it. Matthew now charging in on it. Can't win the ball. Orlando still on the left side. Orlando playing it down and then a corner. Looking for the cross. And Curley is there to block it. Orlando corner. Ball's coming in. It's a high arcing ball at the top of the box. Orlando maintains possession. Looked for the shot. It took awkward. Back into the middle and into the goal, but everybody's got their hand raised and there's going to be another offside call.
Well, can you believe this? This team has been saved by this line judge more times than I can count today. And it looks like he may have got this one right, as 43 was creeping a little bit offside. And luckily for us, the goal doesn't count. And it's still 2-1, South Florida.
Valentino playing it short to Lano. Lano under pressure. Plays it long, up the field, and out into touch. Orlando plays it in. Matthew there. He's trying to deal with the defender. He's getting back down. Camera is a little out of focus here, as we're not seeing what's going on right now. Ball pokes free. Martin's now on it. Martin goes to the ground. Brian pokes it free. And it's going to be a throw for Orlando. Julian there. Matthew heading it into space. Orlando still on the ball. Orlando popping it up. Martin popping it up. Matthew kicking it up. Still not out of bounds. Orlando in possession. Brian wins the throw. Oh, man. Matthew with the long throw. Orlando player heads it in. Ball still bouncing in the air. Lots of headers going on here. Julian plays this one, but into the middle of the field. That could be dangerous as Gavin has to deal with it. And luckily, gets an Orlando player to touch it before it goes out of bounds. Ball thrown into Brandon. Brandon under considerable pressure here. Tries to pass it off to Crosby. Crosby gets it to Valentino. Valentino pings it off of Brandon. This ball is loose. There's a header off the post. Matthew now blocks another cross. Ball still in play. It's still live. Matthew able to get there. And he plays it long and down the line. Chested by an Orlando player. Received by Thiago, who plays it into JC. JC's got some room to run. JC with some fresh legs. He plays it long. Ooh. Almost in, but out for a goal kick.
I know what some of you are saying. They're saying, why didn't he dribble it to the corner and run out the clock? But I tell you, I like it. I like what he did here. He sees the goalie is off his line. He plays the ball, and it's just a hair off from being in the goal. I don't mind that from a player, the confidence of trying to score and seal the game. Hopefully next time he takes it to the corner and runs out the clock.
Well, Orlando now in possession, but they're just kicking the ball as hard as they can up the field right now. And this ball headed into space. Foul called. Orlando takes it quickly. Crosby takes a stumble. Lano gets a shoulder to it. Matthew heads it forward. Julian kicks it forward. And gets it out of the area, at least from scoring. Now Brian trying to adjust this ball. Oh, tackle. And he wins it. No foul. Goes for the nutmeg, unfortunately. And is not as successful there. And then a late foul call when possession was turned over.
Maybe I just couldn't hear the whistle, but I don't understand where the foul is if it wasn't there right there. Because he maintains possession of the ball. And now, he's going to say that he pulled his arm? Alright. Well, it was a very short duration of pulling the arm, and you're going to do that in the game.
Well, another dangerous ball. Wow, what a save by Valentino.
That was a save and a half.
Moving into the net. Valentino came flying in and snatched it out of the air. Wow, what a great job by Valentino. As neither goalie has really been challenged in this game. Either Brandon or Valentino. But that's a heck of a save here late to preserve the lead. But Orlando's still threatening as they maintain possession. Another shot. Well wide of the goal.
Well, there's a few things in life you can never have enough of. And that's money and power. And the third is good goalkeeping. And South Florida has that in both Valentino and Brandon. Right there is an example of Valentino coming in the second half and making a diving save to keep South Florida ahead late in the game. Good job, Blood.
This ball kicked long as South Florida has abandoned playing out of the back. Kawa trying to keep this under control. Can't do it. Ball played down. Orlando still in possession. Julian trying to win the ball back. Brian trying to win the ball back. Orlando just playing a very tough physical game right now. It's not so much pretty soccer, but it is very physical and aggressive soccer. As Matthew wins the goal kick there. Lano kicks it long, headed forward by Orlando. Julian trying to get under it and does, heads it forward. Orlando trying to get underneath it, and Thiago's going to be whistled for the foul. Not much to argue there. Thiago did have him by the shoulder and was riding him. So Orlando's going to have a free kick in a dangerous area here, as they're not too far off from the goal. This is definitely a set piece. And here comes the kick. It's low, but it dribbles into the box. Headed forward. Lano gets a chest to it. He's still got possession. Orlando kicking it free from him. Matthew now applying pressure. Matthew still applying pressure. Orlando player falls in the box. No foul called. Ball kicked up the field. JC in chase. JC is running like his life depends on it. He's got the ball. And he takes a shot right at the keeper. Probably not the best decision, but again, you can't help a striker from shooting on goal. As this ball's played up the middle, Crosby there to deal with it. South Florida in a rush to get back, as not many Orlando players joined that defensive effort. A lot of them stayed forward. Matthew there to break up that play and deals with it nicely, playing the ball down the line, finds Thiago. Thiago playing it back to Brian. Brian kicks the ball long, looking for JC, who was trying to head it backwards, couldn't do it. And Orlando now in possession. Brian now, getting pushed down on the ball, and it's going to be a foul for Orlando.
All right, let's take a look. Orlando player gets the ball here. It's a 50-50 in my opinion. Brian uses his body and positioning, and he gets pushed onto the ground, and he lands on the ball. Referee calls a handball. I got to tell you, I'm scratching my head.
Here comes the free kick. It's in the box. Headed on. Shot! And goal. Well, Orlando has tied it up here. No foul call. No whistle pending.
Well, I have to tell you, it's a beautiful ball into the box, high in the air, and they head it forward, and the lad just gets a really nice foot to the ball, mid-air, and crashes it into the back of the net. Beautiful goal. All credit to him, and to tying the game 2-2 here in Boca Raton as the referee blows the whistle. You can't feel anything but disappointment, and a game that I thought that South Florida easily had in hand, and they let slip away.
Well, I think you're right about that one. The first half was all South Florida. They gave away a penalty, which some would say wasn't even a penalty. And they had a number of calls against them, but they also had some for them, especially with those offside calls. And they were easily in control of this game, especially after they scored that goal. Orlando started coming at them a little bit more aggressively, a little bit more ferociously. But I thought they were going to weather the storm, and unfortunately just couldn't hold on there in a last gasp effort from Orlando to put that ball in the back of the net. Unbelievable. Well, that's how the game goes sometimes, doesn't it, Jeffrey?
Well, it does, and it doesn't. It doesn't. Because, that game was a perfectly winnable game. The players need to remain focused, and they need to do what's best for the team. And sometimes that isn't shooting a shot or making a run. Sometimes it's playing the defense or possessing the ball as long as you can. So, hopefully the players learn from this experience. They realize that they have to think tactically out there at all times, and they really have a better shot and better opportunity at this team the next time they play them, which will be in Orlando, I believe, towards the end of the season. And they learn from this and they come back stronger.
Well, I agree with you there. And as always, Jeffrey, who could disagree with you? As we take a final look at some of the highlights from this game, we hope that you've enjoyed. And if you click like and subscribe to Mad About Soccer, we'll be bringing you some more the next time South Florida plays in the MLS Next division of youth soccer. So for Mad About Soccer, We'll see you next time, and I hope you enjoy.